各位 Lincoln Talk 的朋友，大家好，我是 Kevin， 欢迎来到 Lincoln Talk 轻松来聊表的时间。这一集的 Podcast， 我们邀请到 Visitor Watches 跟我们一起来聊聊他的手表设计跟理念。那喜欢 Visitor Watch 的朋友们，也欢迎来到我们台北的展示间，我们有 Visitor Watch 的展示。那透过这一次创办人的解释，然后来说说他的设计理念跟背景、品牌的创立缘由。那相信你到时候到展示间来看到这些手表的时候，一定更有感觉。那事不宜迟，我们快来看看这一次的访谈是如何呢？
It's nice to put name to the faces here. It's I mean we emailed for a couple of times, but it's the first time put a name into the faces. And obviously we know you study visitor, so can you talk a bit about your background? Because I mean, if I understand correctly, you are trained and study as a mechanical engineer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I studied mechanical engineering, and got a master's in mechanical engineering. I thought I wanted to go into the automotive world. That's kind of what ultimately led me on the mechanical engineering path. I did some co-ops and internships at Toyota, and then after finishing school, I ended up at a company that did work in aerospace, and it just it wasn't quite the right fit. Those jobs didn't present the level of sort of creativity that I wanted to be able to have in my day to day, and watches sort of provided this outlet to bring art and mechanical engineering and creativity through photography and everything else you have to do as a micro brand owner. It sort of offered all that in a nice package that was attractive to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you sort of like all of a sudden you discover you like interesting watches, or you have someone like, a lot of people that because their grandparents, their father or relatives, uncle, interesting watches, or just it all of a sudden because of environmental circumstances in the work environment lead you to watches?
Yeah, I didn't really discover mechanical watches until I was at Toyota, and I thought that was the place that I really wanted to be, and so I was trying hard to impress my managers, put together like a professional business wardrobe and all that.
Yeah.
And I noticed that my managers and higher ups there all wore watches, and I didn't have one at that time. So I started researching, and then you fall down the rabbit hole, and up until that point, actually, I had only known quartz watches, and then you discover that mechanical watches exist, and there's this whole fascinating history of mechanical timekeeping to unwrap. And I was hooked, like everything that I loved about cars being this, fusion of mechanics and artistry was true of wristwatches in just a distilled package. So after that, I started designing watches just kind of for fun while I was still in school, and would just make watches in CAD on my computer, and eventually showed them to people, and got some positive feedback. People asking me like, "Oh, well, where can you buy that?" And being like, "Well, it's just something I made up. It's not a real thing."
Yeah.
That gave me the confidence for later on in life when I did want to make that switch.
Yeah, for sure. Out of curiosity, because I mean, are you having an idea of watch first, or you have an idea of the brand visitor first? Which come, or are they sort of like naturally merged together at the same time?
I would say the watch came first, and then I kind of searched for a brand idea, a name, an expression that I felt best exemplified what I was trying to do, and fit with what I sort of what my goals were for this whole venture.
Okay.
And eventually, landed on Visitor. But certainly the Dune Shore, and even earlier designs. I don't know. I when I sit down to draw, most of what comes out, I feel like is sort of unusual. Almost like alien dress watches a little bit, like sort of like dress watches from another dimension or something like that.
Yeah, but sometimes it's hard to categorize. Are they dress watches or sports watches? And then I did a bit of research. You were saying 65% you think it's more dressy type, and then 30-something% more sporty or everyday, everywhere watches.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Like I like trying to challenge sort of the norms, or what people think, like, oh, a dress watch, it has to be this size, it has to be super conservative, and all this stuff like that. And I don't know, I like, it's a fun challenge as somebody who tries to be a good designer. It's a fun challenge to take on. Like, okay, well, how would we make something that didn't fit any of those conventions, but still felt like a dress watch expression? And for me, I think the Dune Shore, it's 44 millimeters. It's not a traditional case whatsoever. But when you put a polished Dune Shore on your wrist and you see these inspired lugs and the inky dial and all the interesting angles and reflections that the case creates, I think that the feeling that you get from it is, oh, it's a little bit dressy. It feels a little bit more like a special occasion kind of thing. But it's also funky enough and large enough that if you do want to, dress it down, wear it casually, it can absolutely fulfill that role as well. And of course, on a rubber strap, it takes on obviously a much more sporty kind of feel to it.
Yeah, which is quite interesting though, because I haven't really discovered it until literally quite recently. Obviously, as I said, there were people mentioning about changing strap, it could be like a lot of different look. The Dune Shore is actually way more versatile with the change of strap. It's sort of like Stripe Monster, some people were like claiming. I didn't realize it before, but just really quite recently. And
thank you.
Yeah, and you actually emphasize quite a lot on the strap and buckle. It's really just a lot of attention to detail than initially what people imagined, which is quite well done.
Thanks. Yeah, the buckles are totally the buckles are totally unique. That's something that I really believe in, is every element that you can design yourself, you should. So like you want that, the expression of that watch design, you want it to be holistic, right? So like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Don't just do a dial and then stop. Do the case. Don't just do the case and then stop. Also do the buckle and the strap, because like, it just. I think you gotta not put the pencil down. You gotta keep drawing.
For sure. Talking about drawing, you are a big fan of writing instrument, right? I believe.
Yeah. So I have a tiny pen collection, but the pen hands more so represent my my love of writing. And so I've been writing for a couple over a decade now. And so that was sort of my way of, when I was, the Dune Shore is certainly my most like sort of personal design. So it has these the writing elements in the dial, and then the case is sort of inspired by the landscape where I grew up with sand dunes. So it's a very personal expression.
Yeah, because I believe the tip is the fountain pen, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the hour hand, there's like you see the little like slit at the end of it, which is but both the minute and hour hand are designed after pen nib shapes. So I don't have a pen here. Oh yeah, I do.
It's like when when the nib, when you push it onto the paper. That's why the very first one is called Calligraph. Is how it's been inspired, I believe.
Yeah, so Calligraph is like the collection, like the family name. So the Dune Shore, all the watches with pen-inspired hands fall under the Calligraph collection. So that's Linden, Dune Shore Shallows. And right now, I know that's confusing sometimes for people because it's the only collection that I have active at the moment is the Calligraph collection.
Yeah.
There was the Officers collection from a few years back that had the Vale Park in it, and so that one doesn't have pen hands. That's sort of a different.
It's more sort of like it's also like a crayon pen.
A crayon pen?
Yeah. Or you can say that. Let me see. I'll just try to bring up a picture so people can see.
Well, I think you have an extra V in there. It's searching for valve.
Yeah. It's probably easier just weird it. Yeah, it's not quite it's different departure, but yeah, let's just. Can I also ask a question? Do you have these cross? Do you say it's like the cross blade, a cross out design? Is there any particular reasons?
Oh, for the crosshair?
Yeah.
I just like that design element, I guess. It's something that, just shows up. There are a couple things that are, I guess, constant in my design language, at least for right now. And I really like crosshairs. On the Dune Shore, something that is kind of fun is when you hit the quarter hours, so 3 or 6 or 9 or 12, the hour hand, that slit will eclipse crosshair, and then on the hour hand, and then so for a brief moment it looks like almost like ink is flowing out of the pen nib.
Okay.
It fills up that little gap that's there, and then it looks like you've just drawn a line on the dial. So it's sort of like a fun little Easter egg, I guess.
Okay.
So I mean, elements that I really like are crosshairs. That's showed up on all of my designs thus far. Sort of rolled end lugs is something that I use on both Dune Shore and Vale Park. And then I think just this contrast between curves and hard lines. I find that really interesting, where it's not necessarily an angular watch or a soft watch. It's sort of a blend of the both.
Yeah, but you can also give a position. You see the ears of turning from drawing using the card drawing. Yeah, that's quite interesting. So I mean, obviously the first one is the Dune Show, and then you have these different colors, because they are all the original colors since the very beginning, right? I believe the beach, the forest one, and then blue state. Are they all like influenced from where you grew up?
Yeah. So the launch colorways were, yes. So I grew. The name Dune Shore comes from the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore. So it's the tip of Lake Michigan. If you know where Chicago is, just head southeast a little bit. But so that landscape, you have these sweeping sand dunes, and then you have the forest and the water. So that was what the beach, forest, and blue slate sort of represented. Were the colors of the palette of that landscape. And then of course expanded from there in offering, a couple different other dial colors and also other base finishes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course. I also race Subway, the black one. Yes, the black one.
Yeah, that one's really interesting, because then you kind of like switch from the watch feeling sculptural to more like stealth bomber. So. It's interesting what a case treatment, how much that'll change the feel of a watch.
Yeah, for sure. Because I also find it quite particularly interesting when you mentioned Chicago earlier. probably people have to wear it or been told to know the shape. Was it the cloud gate, right? That which is being inspired for the case back.
That's right. Yeah, good memory.
Yeah, I'm not sure this picture doesn't represent quite well, but I mean it's quite curved and it make it quite wearable in a way. I try to find a better picture somewhere.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that might be. I can't remember the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
this
go.
One here. This one's quite nice. Yeah.
So, yeah, if you end up looking at the watch here, again, but if you get a Dune Shore and you look at the back of the watch from a dead-on angle like that, you know, these curves, that sort of 12-6 curve will terminate in sort of this more like bulbous rounded off section. And that is Cloud Gate inspired, which is, if you've ever been to Chicago, go to Millennium Park, you can see that sculpture there.
Yeah.
And, for me, I grew up in Northwest Indiana. Anytime we wanted to go to a concert or, sort of
party
do
town.
anything, you'd go to Chicago to do cultural stuff.
Yeah.
So, and we'd always get off at Millennium Station, and that's one of the first things that you see all the time. So it just sort of like stuck in my mind again when I think of that area of the world. That's one of the things that for me is, like visiting Chicago, right? In the name of visitor, and like, okay, we're gonna go do something interesting, and that's always just been a sculpture that immediately comes to mind for me. So that was sort of expressed then into the watch to help with.
Because that's quite interesting.
Ergonomics.
Because when you're visiting something, you visited, you inspire you, which is a kind of into the ethos and theory of your brand idea.
Yes. Yeah, there's a couple, really a few different reasons behind the brand name that I think hopefully tie in with the watch, but or the watches. When you're a visitor, that means maybe the locals see you as being not from around here on some level, and I want my designs to feel that way, that they're not trying to be an homage to anything else, the same as anything else, that it's this very holistic, unique design expression. I also think that when you think of yourself as a visitor, that means on some level you've done something new, and that could be as simple as visiting a new restaurant that you've never been to before, or going to a new country, or whatever it might be. Well, you're doing something new that's immediately memorable, right? And I think that's important for growth and everything else. And so having a watch be a small part of that memory or a memento to that, I think is a lot of people buy watches all the time to commemorate those moments of growth in our lives or special events and stuff. So I kind of wanted to touch on that. And then the last sort of reason for the name is that we're all kind of visitors on this planet, right? Nobody gets to stay forever, and you'd like to do something interesting with the time that you have. So what better way to remind yourself of that than having a time measuring device on your wrist that literally says visitor?
Yeah, and it traces the time as well, which is.
And it does.
I didn't know about this, but it's quite fitting in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the doorknob. Is this common thing, the doorknob in Indiana? This lion head.
Is it common?
Yeah.
No. That
very
that
Chinese.
Like the food dogs, right? Yep.
Yeah.
That one I actually imported from France. I just found it on Etsy. But there was like it came from some farm in France that was like from the 1800s or something.
Okay, because your showroom this is the door number of your showroom, right?
Yes, yeah. When you come up to the showroom, that's you're greeted by the door.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually quite good. So your showroom is in the sort of farm, or just not quite?
It's where?
Is your showroom in the farm base?
Oh, well, I'm in Indiana, so I guess everything's sort of in a farm. Yeah.
Right.
It's a small suburb of Indianapolis. It's a small. We have a nice little like sort of old historic downtown. And my buildings or my showroom is right there, sort of in the heart of that downtown Greenwood.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ever fly through Indianapolis, it's 30 minutes from the airport. You can be there.
All right, good. I mean, I'm in Chicago every now and then, to be honest, about twice a year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not miles away.
Yeah, that's not terribly far. Certainly a day's drive.
Yeah. So you do like triangle, right? Pyramid stuff. So this is the
the showroom.
This is quite neat table.
Thank you. I designed it to mimic the chandelier that's above it, which is like a hanging pyramid, and so you kind of have this mirror effect. And there you go.
And, so there's also asymmetric.
Yeah,
top
exactly.
And button.
So my thought there was that it was kind of like symbolic of the ethereal, like the idea, and then the realized thing below it. Moving from this sort of
okay.
ethereal to the real, and then the watches are sort of presented in between.
Okay. That's sort of like remind me of those some time traveling capsule stuff from certain like sci-fi movies. This is actually quite vintage. Two different styles.
But yeah, if anybody is the showroom is open by appointment Monday through Friday, and then I've just started doing open hours on like walk-in hours on Friday evenings. So anybody who's ever in the area of Indianapolis, if you want to come on by and see the full visitor collection and sort of hear the full expression of the brand, please do. I always love having people up there. It's been really cool to have a brick and mortar spot to sort of present the brand to people, and especially where I'm at in Greenwood, Indiana. It's a new micro brand in their entirety is sort of a new idea. I sort of have to start from that level of explaining. I get a lot of calls asking me if I can change the battery in like their Citizen watch, stuff like that. It's like no, it's not that kind of watch shop. It's different. So it usually starts with explaining the idea of what micro brands are. And then kind of going from there. So
it takes a while. So same as like sometimes it even takes a while to come up with new collection as well. So should we move on to your next design is the Linden or the Shadow afterwards?
After the Dune Shore, the next design. Well, the next design that came out after the Dune Shore was the Vale Park, and then after that it was the Linden, and then the Dune Shore Shallows.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm a big fan of Linden. ISO is very versatile. I mean, it's not quite a fuel watch, but it's a weight dressy. You can literally go everywhere. It's good water resistant, good details, and then I really like this loom on the day wheel.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, is it one of your most popular model? Or the Dune Shore is the most popular ones.
The Dune Shore has
the Shallow, right?
Oh, I would say the Dune Shore is probably held up as the most popular one. I mean, certainly that's the one I've made the most often or most frequently. I mean, I've been making that watch for 10 years now. So that has held up. The Linden and the Dune Shore Shallows, those ones are about the same. I guess the Linden's a little more popular, and then the Dune Shore Shallows is, I suppose, the most polarizing of the designs. I think everything I make is probably falls on that you either get it or you don't, you either love it or you hate it kind of spectrum. And the Dune Shore Shallows is probably pushing that to the furthest extreme.
Yeah,
But
it's the photos.
yeah, I don't know. I love that. When all these watches, when I put them on my wrist, they make me smile. And that's the ultimate test, right? Is it? Do I have a personal positive reaction to wearing it? Is it fun to wear? And I don't know. You just have to sort of trust that there's going to be other people out there like you, right? Like you're not that unique. If you like it, there's going to be other people who like it.
Yeah, it's sometimes the instinct. So, can you talk a bit more about or share a bit more about your design progress? Because if I assume you're a mechanical engineer, you start from the 2D sketch first.
Yeah. So my sort of workflow for that is, I do all sorts of drawings, notebooks full of drawings of watches, different ideas for watches. And I think, because that's the easiest way to iterate on ideas is just pencil sketches and stuff. So eventually I'll land on maybe an entire design or maybe part of a design. It could just be a hand or a case idea that I like. And so going from this sort of base of pencil sketches and then deciding to move up once there's something there that I think has merit, then moving on to designing in CAD. So then I'll build it in 3D on the computer, and I guess I approach CAD in the beginning maybe a little bit different than the other mechanical engineers, where I really only think about the design first,
Okay.
and don't worry about the
hardware side of it.
Yeah, how it could be machined, how it could be assembled, how it could be made, all that stuff. We're gonna, that can be figured out later. And obviously, what I'm making is not, complex to the level of an ambient
cars
like that. Yeah, but there's certainly, elements to the design of the Dune Shore even that are pretty tricky from a manufacturing standpoint, especially when you're talking about watches that come in under $1,000. So from a mechanical engineering standpoint, the thing that I always point to is the case back, the case back to mid-case interface on the Dune Shore happens across 4 unique surfaces. So a normal case back transition is a circle on a flat plane, right? So you really only have 2 dimensions to worry about. But on a Dune Shore, you have a complex contour that is happening across 4 unique surfaces and then has to be flush to each of those. And then you have a curved crystal that also has to be flush pressed into that as well. So from a dimensioning and tolerancing perspective, it's a lot more challenging to get made right, and therefore a lot more expensive to produce. So that's something that if you're only considering, I feel like that's something that only is going to happen if you're working from the design and as a start from your unique design, and then taking the mindset of how can I create this idea in real life with sacrificing as little as possible, and being willing to pay for unique tooling, other things like that case back interface, being willing to pay for those in order to realize that vision with security, I guess.
Yeah, because it'll be quite different approach. Because I mean, I'm a mechanical engineer, so sometimes you just have to think about this is part's gonna be common enough, the cost breakdown, or what's the end price, that sort of thing. Obviously, there's a regulation, but with watches, the regulation tend to be just not as major as like cars. But it might be a great thing. That's why it looks more like a sculpture than like a timepieces. Because you approach from the design point of view, then just outright to this is a specification you wanted.
Yeah. I'm glad that you feel that way. I mean, that's certainly the approach that I take is, get the aesthetic right without really considering the practical side of things. So once it looks right on the computer, I'll of course do 3D prints and see how it feels in physical space and on your wrist. And so for the Dune Store, of course, the Dune Store has this curved case back. So there's some ergonomic fine tuning that has to happen there. And then once all that's complete, then it moves on to making the engineering drawings and then finding people to make all the parts. But yeah, that's sort of my funnel.
Yeah, you can pretty much do it all then. You are a one-man team now, I believe, still, right?
Yeah, that's true. Still a one-man team, and up until this point, I've pretty much handled everything aside from owning and operating the machinery. But even that, looking ahead, is starting to change a little bit.
Yeah, and you also source all the strap. Sorry, Alec, you said?
Oh, that's my favorite strap.
Me too.
Everyone does this.
Oh, I love the bun strap.
Yeah, me too. That's made by Deluxe in Singapore. So
it's made by Deluxe. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It is. Yeah. But they're my favorite third-party strap maker. So when I had this idea to make kind of a wild bun strap, I reached out to them to see if they wanted to do it, and they said yes, and I was really stoked to do that project.
Yeah, they are very, very nice people to work with, in my opinion.
They are, yep.
So just out of curiosity, which is a funny thing though, most of people, when there are certain brands, when people talk about Visitor, people always think about it's an American brand for some reasons. And is it because of your image, you think, or just you have been actively trying to source a lot of parts or design in the States side of things to make people think of that? Are you actually trying to move more things to the USA, or a lot of things still saying you think you can work with Deluxe, you try it, or and lots of people obviously work in Hong Kong. Do you have any idea about what do you want to do in terms of events in the near future?
Yeah, I've been in sort of this transformational stage. The thing in transformation in terms of moving a lot of the manufacturing from Asia to the United States, and really the impetus for that has been to be able to be more flexible, more nimble in getting new designs out. The sort of traditional, manufacturing routes they're just slow. It just takes there's a lot of other clients, and it just takes a long time for everything to sort of come together. For the past year and a half, I've been teaching myself 5-axis machining.
Okay.
I have a little mill in my garage now, so I am able to do. I'll be able to do some prototyping myself, and maybe even some short production runs myself as well. But then it's also been finding people in the U.S. who for if I want to do larger volumes, people who can handle that. And it's been a challenge, but I'm starting to see everything come together a little bit more. But it's definitely been a challenge to piece all that together, because we really don't have sort of those big those big resources in terms of companies to make watches, like you do in Switzerland or in China. So it's sort of finding people and sort of cobbling together a network to do it all.
Yeah, it's a supply chain issue as well.
Yeah, when I started back in 2013, and the Dune Store launched in 2014, essentially a year ago. At that time, it felt like putting out launching a micro brand that had a design language completely its own. Felt like something that was new enough that I was proud of it. It felt like a sort of a new addition to the conversation on watches. At that time, micro brands were still relatively new.
Relatively new, yeah.
And most stuff that you saw was based pretty
just homage, really.
on things that had come before. And I'm not knocking any of that stuff at all, but a lot of the early efforts, I think it's fair to say, were of that way. So like doing something where it was like, no, this is going to be a completely sort of unique brand expression, that felt like adding something new to the conversation of watches. And so for me, that's I guess always what I'm sort of asking myself is like, is it creatively satisfying to me? And then is it also going to feel worth doing to the larger, wristwatch world? Is there a reason to put this out there? Is it going to add anything to the conversation, to the market? And so now, there's lots of other brands since then, obviously, that have launched these sort of completely unique ideas for their watches, which is awesome. It's been great to see from an enthusiast perspective. I love it. It's great to see that much more choice in the market. But it's gotten me thinking, like, okay, well, what would be sort of new to do now, right? And when I think of the next 10 years of Visitor, what could I do that would be fun for me and also a benefit to
everyone, just making it more excited. Yeah, but that's also I'm interested in. Do you have anything under the pipeline? I believe you had a teaser picture in your Instagram.
Yeah, that bronze case right there. Just a lug. So that is a So that is a raw CNC part. So that hasn't been finished yet. No polishing, no brushing. But that's a raw 5-axis milled in America Vale Park case. So so the Vale Park Mark II is going to be the first watch that comes through this sort of new new American, largely American manufacturing network. And it'll be sort of the first chapter in this new book for Visitor, where I'm trying to sort of I guess my goal is to kind of like adapt almost the model that like a lot of the independents use, the smaller like independent watchmakers, to the micro brand world, and have a way to do lower production runs of designs. I'm talking like 50 pieces, 100 pieces, but then have more designs, right? So then have like 8 or 9 or 10 designs in the catalog, but they only do 50 pieces or something per year on each of those designs, which is something, because of minimum order quantities and everything else, is really not that possible through the sort of tried and true production methods. But if you kind of have your own machines and you can sort of take care of the tooling side yourself, and if you learn milling and everything else, then it becomes possible to do that. So that's what I've sort of started leaning towards. That it would be, I would feel, I'll create more creatively fulfilled if I can put more designs out there. And I also think it would be a new sort of, a new element to the conversation on watches. If there was a brand that was, putting out these shorter runs of more designs the way that the independents do, but closer to the price point of the micro brand world.
Yeah. So I mean, it's more of a trend. So you have like several drops in the year, and you can engage what the customer feel like when. So it's easier to plan in a way. But I mean, it will be quite packed in terms of like one after another.
Yeah, I think it'll allow me to be just more nimble, more flexible. Is my hope, right? This is all still very new. I don't exactly know how things are going to shake out yet, but my goal is that I could even do runs of, if I had a really experimental design, I could just make 5 of them, and maybe that's all that we need to do for that. If it's too funky for people, then okay, cool, we'll shelve it. It'll be collectible kind of thing maybe, or whatever. And
in a way, it will be more adaptable as well.
Exactly, yeah. Or who knows? Or maybe there's a watch that is like a big hit, and it's like, okay, well, I can tap the shoulder of some of these people that are good at the bigger production runs, and then maybe we can do a bigger production run of a particular design.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah.
So, do you have any idea when we will see these? Or
So, yeah, the Vale Park Mark II. I truly wish I had already been able to show it to people. It's it's one of those things where everything is way more difficult than what you thought when you set out. I'm really hoping in Austin, November 16th, you can see that square sort of right next to it. That'll be the Intersect watch show in Austin, and that's where I'm hoping to do sort of a soft reveal of the Vale Park Mark II. But I should note, as of this recording on November 7th, the watch is not assembled yet. So there are still pieces that are being machined. I'll probably be in my garage today doing that. So it's still coming together, but that's that's the goal, is to show it in Austin. And then launch it either late this year or early next. We'll see how it falls. Obviously, the holidays are a little bit, you got to plan around that a little bit.
For sure.
So, we'll see how it goes from there. But it'll be really cool to finally have a watch come out of everything that we've been working at for the last couple of years to make a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, especially locally, mostly done by you as well, which is quite astonishing.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but definitely share with us, because I know Alec is eagerly waiting for that as well.
What, the officer? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
You got it, guys. Yep, I'll make sure one comes over there.
Yeah, that'll be great.
You might need 2, one for me and one for Kirk.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so thanks for your time. I think you have shared enough, and then we hope you are very successful after intersection. Is there anything else you think you would like to share with everyone, the audience, or us?
So Intersect is in Austin, November 16th. I'll also be at in Kansas City, December 7th. There's a little watch show. I forget the name of it. I think it's like the Heartland Watch Show or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But there's a handful of other really good brands. I mean, Notice is going to be there. Dryden, Raven, some really cool micro brands are going to be there. So if you're listening to this and you're in the Kansas City area, sorry, that's not updated at all. Thank you for clicking on that and reminding me that I need to update that page.
Yeah, they are quite outdated.
Yeah, that is quite outdated. You're right.
No worries. IG is there.
The things that happen when you do everything yourself and forget to update parts of your website. But yeah, so for this year, I'll be at Austin, November 16th, Kansas City, December 7th. So those are opportunities to see my watches and awesome watches from other companies. And then in April, I'm happy to confirm that I'll be at Vancouver. So the guys who put on the Toronto Timepiece show are also doing Vancouver in 2025, and I'll be a part of that. So I'm really excited for that.
Is it mid of April? I haven't checked the time, so.
Yeah, I hope I'm not misspeaking. I'm pretty sure it's April.
Are you going to the LA one? The in July, I think.
April 25, 27, I think. Yeah, I did LA. I did LA this year in the summer, and I would love to do it again. I told those guys. But, Intersect. I know that they have the challenge, I suppose, of wanting to keep the brand list around 20 or 25, and obviously a lot more brands than that are interested in doing it. So I understand that they're going to phase people in, phase people out, and so I don't know if I'll be at in LA or not. I would love to though, because that show is really awesome.
Yeah, I heard that one is really good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was. This was my first year doing it, and it was fantastic.
They live in LA, right? Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they're LA guys. And it was convenient for me because my sister lives out there, so I could just scratch at her. Good to catch up with her. And
Wes, he WhatsApped me like 2-3 days ago saying you guys were hanging out.
Yeah. So his girlfriend is from Indiana, and so they were back in Indiana, and so he hit me up, and they came down to the showroom.
So where's the single?
No, he's not. He's not.
I spoke too much. We gotta edit this out, yeah.
But yeah, they came by the showroom, and so we were hanging out, and that was a good time. It was always cool to see them.
Yeah, I saw him like 3 weeks ago in Singapore.
Right. Yeah. The Spring Strong show.
Yeah.
Yep. I need to get out to Singapore at some point here. It's always that's obviously like a massive watch market and big for micro brands and stuff. Yeah. Haven't had to go yet.
It's a good show. That one was all right.
It's quite mature.
Yeah.
I mean, the buyers in Singapore, they are quite mature and quite willing to accept new things. And it's also easy for brown owner to be there. I mean, because they speak English. I mean, most of Asian countries, you do have to speak local language, but like Singapore, it's easy for everyone.
Yeah, that is a great point.
Yeah.
They
don't really.
What was that?
Sorry, you don't really travel overseas for the show, right? I believe, because I mean, I remember most of the thing you do is in the USA.
Yeah, that's true. The Toronto show I think was the first, international show going to Canada. So, but no, I haven't done anything in Europe or Asia.
Do you have a lot of buyers from Asia or no?
Not as many anymore. I feel like it's definitely slow. In the earlier days, there was a good amount of Singapore, good amount of
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong is Singapore. Occasionally Japan, but mostly Hong Kong, Singapore.
Yeah.
Vietnam has popped up every now and then, but I feel like Asia. Yeah, I feel like Asia for me has been pretty quiet the last couple of years. So, yeah, we'll see if that. I don't know. Hard to say exactly what's behind that, but
yeah, because I mean, in Asia for the maybe last 5 or I'll say 4 or 5 years, people always asking for smaller watches.
yeah.
So that's quite a thing. I mean, although like it's wearable, right? But a lot of people, especially people never really seen the watches, they just look at specification and say, "Oh my God, it's 44. It's gonna be too big."
Yeah.
But
that's a big challenge, and also one of the reasons that it's so valuable for me to do these shows is because it's something that happens every single show. Somebody has looked online at the specs, they think I couldn't wear that, and then I'm like, just try it.
Try it, yeah.
Just try it and see what you think. And,
It doesn't wear like a 44.
Right, exactly, yeah. I mean, it's a couple, and there's a couple of reasons, you know. It has the curved case back, obviously, which helps with the wearability. But then the sculptural nature of the case, the sort of visual mass that you associate with a 44 millimeter block, like a Luminor or something like that, has just been literally carved away, right? And then it's also mirror polished, so it's picking up black in the room, stuff like that is making it look smaller. Yeah, so it ends up. There's a lot of people with smaller wrists that end up wearing a Dune short once they actually handle one. But for online sales, I think there's a bit of spec shock that sometimes is hard to overcome.
Yeah, you just have to make it. I mean, also, I think, I mean, because it's shorter logs, the spring bar distance, spring bar to spring bar is what? Under 50, so you shouldn't wear too big. It's just a. Yeah. I think it's just a matter of translation to the right potential buyers.
Yeah, and it's you know, people always ask like, oh, could you make a smaller Dune short or something like that? So, well, I don't know. I feel like that's sort of a not everything is like infinitely scalable, right? Like
It probably won't look right.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that there's one right size for every design, where you know that's like everything that you're trying to do is there's one size where it's going to be the best,
proportionally right, yeah.
All the ratio is right.
Exactly, yeah, and for me, this is the size where I thought everything made the most sense, you know. So you know, I think at some point there'll be a Dune Short Mark II, and I'll certainly look at making it smaller, but it's not going to be just a shrunken down version of that, right? There's going to be other changes that accompany it probably.
Just one question. You haven't thought of any complication, right? Just freehand of state for now.
Correct. Yep. Haven't done any other complications.
And
are you planning to do any complications?
I'm not actively planning. I certainly have drawn watches that are chronographed or GMTs or other stuff like that. So those ideas are rumbling around. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit more interested in trying to introduce certain mechanical, not complications, but other mechanical novelties for like clasps or bracelets or other things like that I have in my mind. But you know, being able to prototype stuff myself is going to go a long way in terms of like, okay, this works. We can try to get a patent on this now or something like that. So, there's like a little tiny taste of that in the Vale Park with like the way that the hinged back works, where it nests into the crown. It's kind of a unique approach to locking a case back.
Oh, that's quite cool actually. Hunter case and just use the crown to lock it.
Yeah, exactly. So there's sort of a little hint of that sort of like mechanical, doing something new that is from that perspective, and I'd like to explore more of doing that. Yeah.
Okay. More cases related mechanical rather than the movement wise. Because I'm just curious. I mean, if like a lot of like car designer or engineer always want to do a chronograph, it seems like a kind of nature progression sort of thing. So I'm just intrigued.
Yeah, and I mean, Indianapolis has the Indy 500. There's a lot of racing stuff here, so it would be. I have a couple of chronos that I've sketched out. It's one of those things again where I've never. It's such a giant financial investment, to be like really honest. If you're gonna do a chronograph and with
just a movement alone is.
Just the movement alone, you're going to go buy 500 of those. It's just a huge bet, that's going to be successful. And so I've been kind of, a little too hesitant to go down that route. But again, if I can, sort of successfully roll out this new business model where it's possible to do runs of 50, because I have the machines or whatever, then it's like, okay, well now we can experiment more with that, or just make 5 of them, and see how people react before committing to a larger quantity.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So yeah, I'm hopeful that I mean the entire purpose of this transition is for more of my designs to see the light of day. So yeah, stuff like chronographs and GMTs, I have no opposition to. I'm not like a three-hand purist. I'm happy to design those and have more of that stuff come out. It just hasn't had the opportunity to do so yet.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see a lot more in the near future.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll probably see if we can see something slightly with pyramid or triangle shape.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I mean, I don't think I have a triangular watch design, or a pyramid, but that is for whatever reason in the showroom that is a shape that I gravitated towards. So there probably is something there that I should explore.
Yeah, it's a thing. Maybe the box. Yeah, because I discovered you actually have you wrote novel, right? Not a poem, a book. I saw it's published on Amazon. I was saying you should have paper cover for your watch box or something. It's quite interesting.
Yeah. Yep. You're right. Yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah. I did experiment with like book packaging, for a little bit, and ultimately, I don't know. It's one of those things where packaging is so weird because like I never know how much I've had packaging ideas that get priced out at like a couple $100, and it's like, wow, this is like really cool. I have like a special idea for like a box or something. Like I had a stationary box that would also double as a watch box, but it would be a place you could keep like your pens and paper and all that. Oh, this would be so cool, and fit very thematically with like the Calgraph watches. But then it's like, well, are people, this is going to add a few $100s to the cost of the wristwatch when people are buying it. Like, are people really going to want to do that? And it's one of those things where, microbrand people, I feel like your average microbrand buyer, will swear up and down online that they don't care at all about the packaging. Just give me the discount, or just, you know, I just want this to cost as little as possible. I don't care how it comes. But then in reality, when you have that unboxing experience, I feel like people care a whole lot more. So finding that package. Finding that balance, I think is, I still don't know. That's one area where I feel like I still have a lot of room to improve, is on packaging. And because I don't quite know what the right balance there is for me between going, you know, fully ballistic and, you know, hundreds of dollars on a crazy box that's very thematic, and versus making sure that the price of the overall watch doesn't go up too high.
So. Years ago, there's a brand called Meister Sinner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, when they first launched, their watch bags was the recycled hardback book. So they sort of they stamp in between. So all the pages in between has been just stamped out. So they put the watches in, and the warranty booklet is like how do you say, bookmark?
Yeah.
I thought it's super funky. Well, I love it at the time.
That's a cool idea. Yeah, I know. I've seen other people do a book as packaging. L'Aventure, that French brand, I think they do that, and they do it really, really well. I've never handled one, but at least from the pictures I've seen, it looks amazing. And I think there's a couple others, but I know L'Aventure does book packaging, so it's probably something I should revisit.
I mean, if you can find lots of the used book tend to be quite affordable now, so it's kind of a cool idea. It's not hard to do.
Yeah. That I never considered using an actual book. That is kind of fun.
Yeah, so it's slightly more fun because another Swiss brand called I think they call MIH from the museum.
Okay.
They just wrap it with newspaper.
Huh.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, yeah, it's kind of cool, so you know which day your watch has been shipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about putting it in a book, like if it was in a real book carved out, it feels a little bit like smuggling or something. Like I'm just imagining the customs officer who opens up that package and is like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, that'll be quite funny. We can use it to hide your pocket money, or that's what I would do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it's just side story, because I mean, I just wonder, how did you find the time to create watches, manufacturing since the USA, and then write books? It's amazing. Time is important, and you seem to use it very well.
Thank you. I don't always feel that way, but I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so I think we have probably used enough of your time. So you have duty to do, because you're taking kids to school afterwards, right?
I am. Yeah, I think I heard them pounding around up there. So.
Yeah, great. But yeah, thanks for an hour of your time, and that's, keep up with email or anything. And
yeah, absolutely.
If we can probably meet in person somewhere soon.
Yeah, one of these shows for sure. I'm sure we'll cross paths. Thanks guys. This was great. I really appreciate it.
It's quite fun.
I should be able to drop by in March, because I'm going to Ohio in March.
Oh, really? Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, because my daughter goes to college over there. She goes to Ohio State.
Oh, awesome.
It's like a 3-hour drive from Columbus, right? If I remember correctly.
From Columbus? That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2.5 hour, 3-hour drive.
Yeah, should be. Yep. Well, yeah. Let me know when you're gonna be there.
I'll try to make time and see if I could drop by. I would love to.
That would be rad.
Yeah, I think you're just there to pick up watches for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's good. Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it's great to put a face with the name, and I appreciate you guys carrying my watches in Taiwan, and it's awesome. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to have this platform. So no, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we just see what we can do because we start to attend a few more show in different countries now. Sometimes we just don't know if we can bring more brands to different events, but we just gotta wait and see because a lot of organizers they tend to prefer like one person per brand, that sort of thing. But we try to just show more to everyone else.
Makes sense.
Okay, brilliant. So not gonna take much of your time. I hope you have a great day, and then we catch up a conversation another time soon.
That sounds great. Thanks, Kirk. Thanks, Alex.
Great. Have a great day, Phil.
See ya.
All right.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.